"You're fired, Colton." Wade's voice sliced through the low hum of the server room at 10:47 p.m. on a Tuesday night, 3 days before our biggest launch ever. And this suit-wearing, nephew-hiring mess just threw 15 years of my life into the corporate trash like old leftovers. I'm Colton Pierce, 47 years old, an ex-Marine who became the lead systems architect at CoreFlow Industries. That fancy title basically means I'm the digital janitor, cleaning up the messes left by MBA types who think the cloud is some magic place where data floats around for free. I've been keeping this place alive for 15 years, through 3 CEOs, 2 recessions, and more useless VEPIS than I can count on my bourbon-stained fingers. Wade Foster stood there in his $2,000 suit, checking his Apple Watch like he had a reservation at some expensive steakhouse. The guy fails upward so fast it defies logic. He smells like pricey cologne and undeserved power, with that empty smile that says he's about to ruin your life using corporate buzzwords. "Effective immediately," he continued, not even glancing at my screens where I had been debugging code for Project Phoenix, the global system that was meant to automate our entire shipping network. Severance is standard. 2 weeks. Security is already on the way. My mortgage payment flashed through my mind. $2,147 a month. My daughter's college bill sitting on the kitchen counter. The health insurance I was about to lose. At 47, getting fired isn't just a job loss, it's a financial disaster. "You're firing me," I said, tasting metal in my mouth 3 days before Phoenix goes live. "For what reason exactly?" "Culture fit," Wade said, fixing his tie. "You're too slow, Colton. Too careful. You double-check everything, build backups for your backups. We need flexibility, speed. My niece Lindsay thinks your methods are old and heavy." Lindsay Foster, 24 years old. 8-week coding bootcamp. Calls herself a digital transformation expert on LinkedIn. The same girl who asked me last week if Python was connected to the snakes at the zoo. Old and heavy? I stood up, my chair rolling back. "Wade, that heavy system is the firewall that stops hackers from here to Moscow from turning our network into their own crypto mine." He held up a perfectly manicured hand. Actual manicure, like some Wall Street show-off. "Lindsay moves fast. She breaks things to fix them. That's how modern tech works. She's going to break the whole company." "Heath will walk you out," Wade said, pointing to the door where Heath Lawson, our night security guard, stood looking like he wanted to vanish into the floor. "Heath is a good guy. I bring him coffee every Friday, black with 1 sugar. He knows my ex-wife's name, asks about my daughter's soccer matches. Now he had to escort me like I was some kind of criminal." "I need to document the integration patch," I said, reaching for my keyboard. My screens showed the command line, green text on black, a language I understand better than English. The cursor blinked at the end of a critical line. "Don't touch company equipment," Wade snapped, his nice act starting to crack. "Lindsay starts at 8 a.m., she'll handle it." The insanity hit me like ice water. Lindsay. The girl who thinks school means super quick language. She finished accelerated training. She's Agile certified. I picked up my truck keys from the desk. A worn Ford F-150 keychain, bought used 3 years ago when the divorce took everything I had. Next to it was my pack of Marlboros, my only bad habit left after I stopped drinking Jack Daniels in the morning. "You're making a big mistake, Wade, a very expensive one. I'll take my chances with innovation over staying stuck." I looked at my screens one last time. 3 monitors showing the core of Project Phoenix, code I'd built, fixed, and improved through months of 60-hour weeks. The integration layer that connected shipping centers from Los Angeles to Shanghai, handling everything from frozen medicine to live lobsters. One wrong command could bring everything down. I didn't save my work. I didn't commit the changes. I just reached over and turned off the monitors, leaving my final patch sitting in memory. like leaving a loaded weapon on a table. "You sure about this, Wade?" "Completely. Now please stop making a scene." There was no one around to see any scene, but in Wade's corporate dream, he was already telling this story to the board. How he cut dead weight. How he brought in a new era of young innovation. I walked past Heath. "It's okay, man. You're just doing your job." "I'm sorry, Colton," Heath said quietly, his face red. "I really am. Not your fault. The circus showed up." The elevator ride down felt like sinking into corporate hell. Steel walls and the smell of cleaning chemicals. Heath stood in the corner, trying to disappear. I didn't blame him. He was just trying to pay for his kids' braces and his wife's medical bills. I was the one holding a cardboard box full of a dead career. When the elevator opened in the lobby, I thought I'd be taken straight to the parking garage. But Wade, in his so-called wisdom, forgot that my access card was still upstairs. The same card I needed to get my truck out. "Heath, I need my access card. Unless you want me to drive through the gate with my F-150. Heath looked nervous. I'll go get it." "I'll go," I said. Left it by the server keys. We went back up. This time, the floor was different. The quiet was gone, replaced by loud music. That empty electronic pop that sounds like machines having panic attacks. And there, sitting in my chair at my desk, was Lindsay Foster. She looked like she was built in a factory for social media stars. Perfect hair, perfect nails, perfect lack of knowledge. She moved my monitors aside to fit her MacBook covered in stickers. "Girl boss, coffee and code, disrupt everything." What made my heart stop wasn't the stickers. It was my screen. The launch console was open, but the command I left was gone, replaced by the company's shiny dashboard, the graphical tool I never used because it breaks easily. And there, flashing in the corner like a warning light, was a red bar. Database sharding. Manual override active. "Oh my God. Is this Colton?" Lindsay said, spinning around in my chair like a child. She didn't look sorry. She looked excited, like she was meeting someone famous. "Wade said you were leaving. Kinda sad. But hey, new beginnings, right?" I stared at that red warning bar flashing like a heartbeat. "Lindsay," I said calmly, "what did you change in the database sharding settings?" She laughed. Actually laughed, like it was a joke. "Oh, it kept showing these annoying warnings about delays in data checks, so I turned them off. It's way faster now. Look how quick it loads." My blood went cold. She didn't just turn off warnings. She disabled the system that keeps the database stable. It was like removing brakes from a truck because they slow it down. "That's not speed," I said, holding my card so hard it cut into my hand. "That's a memory leak. You're filling the system with bad data." "You're so negative," she said, rolling her eyes. "Wade said you always complain. I'm just making things better for the launch. Think of it like preheating an oven. You're not preheating, Lindsay. You're burning down the whole kitchen." Heath touched my shoulder. "Colton, we have to go. Company rules." I looked at Lindsay, already back on her phone, probably posting about another late-night work win. She had no idea what she'd done. She was sitting on a digital bomb, playing with the switch like a toy. I did the math in my head, something you don't learn in an 8-week course. The cache would fill in about 8 minutes. The database would try writing into locked memory. Then the logs would break. Then Project Phoenix would fail in a very public and very expensive way, right when Asian markets opened. $200,000 lost every minute. $30 million in ruined medicine shipments in cold storage. Trucks waiting at ports from Shanghai to Rotterdam, with no routes, no data, no system to guide them. But hey, at least the loading screens would look modern while the company was falling apart. I turned away without saying anything else. There was no point trying to explain quantum physics to a hamstery need the war room, the main server hub, and I need it empty. I don't work with audiences, especially ones who think turning things off and on again is advanced troubleshooting. We walked down the hallway where emergency lights gave everything an eerie yellow shade. Through the glass walls of the IT Command Center, I could see the aftermath of Lindsay's digital disaster. Wade was red-faced, yelling at screens showing nothing but critical error messages. Lindsay sat in the corner, crying into her hands, finally realizing that breaking things doesn't automatically fix them. The rest of my team, Shane, Nicole Parker, Bryce Montgomery, stood around looking like survivors of a tech apocalypse. Preston pushed open the heavy doors, and the room's air conditioning hit us like walking into a freezer. The servers were running hot, working overtime to handle corrupted data requests in endless loops. "Wade," Preston's voice echoed off the server racks. Wade turned around, relief on his face when he saw the CEO, then turning into confusion when he saw me behind him. "Preston, thank God. We've been hit by some kind of advanced cyber attack. This has Russian signs all over it. And what is he doing here?" "I had security escort him out." "He's here because you're an incompetent mess, Wade," Preston said, his voice cold and quiet. "And this wasn't a cyber attack. This was your niece playing with systems she doesn't understand." The server room went silent, except for the sound of cooling fans working hard to keep the processors from overheating. "Excuse me?" Wade stammered. "You're relieved of duty. Both of you. Get out." "Preston, you can't be serious. This is a crisis. We need experienced leadership. We need a surgeon." Preston cut him off. "You two are the problem. Now get out before I have security remove you." Lindsay looked up from crying, mascara running down her face like dark tears. "But Uncle Wade said I was revolutionizing the infrastructure paradigm." "Kid," I said, stepping forward, my voice sharp and clear, "if you touch one more piece of equipment in this building, I'll make sure you never work with anything more complex than a toaster for the rest of your life." Wade saw the notebook under my arm, saw the look in my eyes, and finally understood that his MBA buzzwords were useless here. This was the engine room of a digital empire, and he was just a passenger pretending to be the captain. "You'll hear from my lawyer," Wade said as he headed for the door. "And you'll hear from the SEC when they investigate how you let an unqualified relative destroy critical infrastructure," Preston replied. "Now get out." Wade stormed out, dragging the still-crying Lindsay with him scrack. Her influencer career was over before her first real paycheck arrived. I looked at my team, Shane, Nicole, Bryce. Good people who were forced to watch incompetence destroy months of their work. "All right, show's over," I said, rolling up my sleeves. "Shane, get me a direct terminal connection." "Nicole, shut down all external gateway connections. We're going dark for exactly 5 minutes." "Bryce, start copying the transaction logs to our backup sandbox, but don't try to analyze them yet. Just raw data transfer." "Going dark means the tracking APIs fail completely," Nicole said, her voice shaking. "They've already failed," I replied, sitting at the main console Lindsay left. "Right now we're just stopping the bleeding before we can fix the damage." I pulled out a disinfectant wipe. Keyboards are disgusting, especially ones used by incompetent hands, and cleaned every key before starting to type. "Preston," I said, without turning around, "you might want to cover your ears. I'm about to break about 14 corporate IT policies to bypass the security locks your niece created." "Just fix it," he said. I cracked my knuckles like a pianist getting ready for a performance and lit another cigarette. "You can't smoke in here," Shane said nervously. "The fire suppression system." "Turn off the smoke detectors, Shane," I said, taking a long drag. "The adults are working." The main screen looked like a museum of digital chaos. Red error text was everywhere, and fatal exceptions were dropping down like a waterfall of corporate failure. Lindsay had somehow pushed our multi-threaded database design into running in single-thread mode. It was like trying to force Niagara Falls through a straw. "Listen up," I said, ash falling on the console like snow on a war zone. "We are doing emergency surgery on a patient that is basically dead." "Shane, I need those transaction logs mirrored into the sandbox environment. Do not try to parse or clean them. Just copy everything raw. Copy that, Shane replied, his fingers moving fast over the keyboard. Nicole, you manually lock down the Asian distribution nodes. Send them into maintenance mode. It's not true, but it will buy us at least 10 minutes before they start calling every executive in the company. Maintenance flags are sent, Nicole said. I turned back to the core database cluster. It was thrashing like a dying machine, writing and rewriting the same corrupted data over and over again in a never-ending loop of digital pain. Sometimes you have to stop the patient to save it. I opened the root command terminal, saying it out loud. The black screen with the blinking cursor showed up, the one thing I trusted more than anything else. I typed the command that would either save everything or destroy it completely. Sudo kill-all, 9-1 You're killing the main process, Bryce shouted. That's digital suicide. It's a defibrillator, I said quietly. Sometimes you have to stop the heart to bring it back properly. I hit enter. Every screen in the room instantly went black. The server fans slowed down until they were barely spinning. The entire room fell into a silence so deep you could hear everyone breathing. Did we just delete the entire company? Shane whispered. Just wait, I said, taking a slow drag. Come on, you beautiful system. I built you to survive this. For a few seconds, nothing moved. Then, like light breaking through dark clouds, a single line of green text appeared on the main monitor. System reboot initiated. Checking integrity. Legacy failsafe detected. Colton is paranoid of all four. What is that? Preston asked, stepping closer to the screen. That, I said, pointing at it with my cigarette like a conductor's baton, is the thing Wade wanted to remove. It's a full shadow copy of our entire system that I've been secretly building every 6 hours for the last 3 years. It's slow to create, invisible to normal users, and completely unchangeable. Lindsay could never delete it because she never even knew it was there. Green text started flowing down the screen like digital rain, restoring database tables. 35%, 67%, 89%. Shane, prepare to open the external gateway on my signal, I said. When this hits 100%, we will be hit with a massive wave of backlogged requests. Ready, Shane answered. Restore complete. All systems normal. Now, go. Shane hit his command sequence. Every screen in the room came back to life at once. The global shipping map reappeared, showing green routes connecting every continent. Pending orders shot up for a moment as the system processed hours of delayed data in seconds, then stabilized back into normal flow. You could hear the entire team breathing out in relief. We are stable, Nicole said, her voice shaking a little. All systems green. Latency is even better than before the crash. That's because I cleared 3 years of junk data from the cache while we were down, I explained. Sometimes the only way to fix a system is to shut it off and clean everything from H. I turned my chair toward Preston, who was still staring at the screens like he had just seen a miracle. System is back, I said. Your trucks are routing properly again, your pharmaceutical tracking is working, and your shareholders will not be screaming tomorrow morning. The emergency board meeting at 7 a.m. was cold and stiff. Gray suits filled the room. Nervous energy was everywhere. It was the kind of corporate damage control meeting that only happens when disaster is stopped at the very last second. Preston sat at the head of the table. I sat to his right side. I wasn't wearing a suit, just my work clothes and the quiet satisfaction of someone who had just saved everything from collapsing. The crisis has been resolved, Preston announced. Thanks to our new Chief Security Officer, Colton Pierce. Everyone turned to look at me. They didn't see a tired man with coffee stains and a worn shirt. They saw the person who held control over their entire digital world. Mr. Pierce, the board chairman said, can you guarantee this will not happen again? As long as I have full control over system changes and any personnel who touch critical infrastructure, I said. No one touches core systems without my approval. We are moving back to stability-first operations. No more fancy experiments. Just reliable engineering. They all nodded like they understood, even if they didn't really. Stable systems make money. Hype doesn't keep things running. I left that room with a title that actually meant something, a salary that looked like a phone number, and security access that opened every door in the building. But more important than all of that, I left with something no corporate politics or family connections could ever buy. The proof that experience, patience, and years of real work still mattered. Back in my server room, the only place that ever really felt like mine. I sat down in my old chair and opened the system logs one last time. Everything was clean and green, stable, alive. The digital heart of global operations was beating steady and strong. Trucks were moving, ships were sailing, and somewhere far away, temperature-sensitive medical supplies were being kept perfectly safe because the systems I built were doing their job without fail. I opened my drawer and took out a bottle of Maker's Mark. I kept for moments that actually mattered. This definitely counted. I poured a small amount into my coffee mug and lifted it toward the monitors showing perfect system uptime. Too slow, huh? I said quietly to the humming servers. Turns out slow and steady doesn't just win races. It keeps the entire world running. Wade and Lindsay learned that the hard way. And sometimes that's the only way certain people ever do.